Manchester United 3, Porto 3, another game away in Europe where Manchester United have a comfortable lead, throw it away and end up clutching the result for a draw. It's another bad night for Manchester United. Really poor, really below standard in terms of what we want from this football club. And I think a lot of people will want me to sit here and say it's another example of the players bottling it. 2-0 up, we must have been doing something really well and then we bottled it. We didn't have the mental capacity to win the game. But I actually disagree, because I feel that even when we were 2-0 up in this game, and that might sound weird to say, but even when we were 2-0 up in this game, I do not think Manchester United were playing very well at all. We're not going to focus on the in-possession side of the game today. I'm not too interested in it, because we always talk about control on the ball, striving for control, controlling a football match, and a lot of the time we talk about that with the ball. But for me, you can only control the game with the ball if you can do the defensive side of the game to get the ball back consistently in the first place. And United couldn't do that. So there's no point in talking about the on the ball. The plus was Marcus Rashford was absolutely brilliant. He creates 2 goals for us. We score a set piece. Diogo Costa was terrible. That's United in possession. That's the coverage for today. United off the ball is where there was a real problem in this game. And like I said, this was even when we were 2-0 up. So this isn't me being reactive to what we eventually saw. So what was the problem for United? United were again in this sort of 4-2-2 shape, which is also at times a 4-2-4 shape. Now, kind of the traits of this shape is that you've got players quite high up, you're trying to counter press, you're trying to win the ball high up the pitch, but you do have a slight lack of numbers in midfield. And if you aren't intense enough higher up the pitch, there is a chance you're going to be a little bit exposed at the back. There's a few things you need when you play this shape. Intensity is the main one. Your wingers in particular have to do a lot of work. They have to be intense, pressing high but also tracking backwards. You need to have fullbacks that are good at stopping deliveries into the box, and you need centre-backs that are good at dealing with the ball in the middle. Good box defence, because ultimately that is where the football match is won and lost, in the box. Unfortunately, United had none of the things that we just discussed. We'll start down this side of the pitch, because one of the big talking points from this game is Rashford being impressive on the ball in the first half. Really impressive. But coming off at half time. Now, Ten Hag has said it was rotation. I think it was a tactical decision, because I think he was concerned with Rashford's lack of defensive output in the first half. And to an extent, I understand it. However, I actually have a problem with the system in the first place. The system is too high. It is too high. This front four is too high, and it leaves the midfield too exposed. All you need to do against United is move the ball into midfield, and then if you can get the ball out wide and you can get a fullback to run past Rashford, which isn't too difficult because Rashford doesn't work hard enough, you can quickly, really quickly, get towards this side of our defence. It is so easy to do this. It is absolutely ridiculous. And then the opposition have a choice. They have a bit of freedom. They can perhaps work the ball to the winger, who might go 1 versus 1 against our fullback. You don't want that regularly in a game because 1v1 defence is difficult, particularly for a fullback playing out of position. They also have an option perhaps to then come inside and maybe drag a midfielder out and then create some space in the middle like this. Or they could go direct into the striker, from wide into these areas, look for a layoff into the middle of the park and play from there. There's all sorts of options, and it all comes because there is no intensity down this side for a start. Again, Rashford and Eriksen near each other doesn't really work because neither of them are good enough physically, neither of them have good enough intensity, and they don't mask each other's weaknesses. It's just the same weakness for the pair of them. It leaves us really exposed. But the shape is also a massive problem. Rashford is situated too high initially, and that is tactical instruction. And we can see the issue of this really early on, and we're going to do this using Want Video Analyzer. Brilliant video analysis software, I use it all the time. Link in the description if you want to go check it out. I highly recommend it, highly recommend it. But this is what I'm talking about here. United being poor before the goals happened. Before the goals happened, this is 13 seconds into the game. And straight away you can see Marcus Rashford is fairly high. We've got Ahmad fairly high out of shot as well, somewhere up there. But the big problem we've got really is this space down the bottom. A big open space where Marcus Rashford perhaps should be tactically, but isn't. You can see the spaces either side of our midfield. And again, this is very early in the game. This is 15 seconds. You can see straight away Marcus Rashford is at a disadvantage. He's got ground to make up. Because he starts high, he's got ground to make up. The fullback for Porto has the advantage. He's on the front foot. He's ahead of him. Straight away into these positions. This is now 22 seconds into the game. Literally the first phase of the game. Porto have got the ball wide and have got a cross into the box. Okay, that's a concern. 20 seconds in, that's a problem. Let's fast forward a little bit. Let's move to 2 minutes later. 2 minutes 24 into the game. Again, we've got Marcus Rashford a little bit high. You can see the whole front four is reasonably high up the pitch here. But Marcus Rashford in particular, is not really doing a lot in this position. He's not cutting the pass out wide. He's not really blocking any sort of pass into the middle. He's not deep and compact alongside his midfielders. He's sort of in the middle of nowhere. And the fact that Ahmad is doing it on the other side as well suggests it would be a tactical instruction to be in this position initially, which can work for some teams. But if you are going to do it, once that ball then goes past, the intensity has to be incredible. And this is what I'm talking about. You need incredibly intense wingers in this system, and we don't have that, which is why the system doesn't work. You've got to look at the manager. Pick a system that matches the players. This doesn't. The ball gets moved wide once again. Like I said, this is now 2:25 into the game, so United are yet to score. This isn't United bottling it after being 2-0 up. The problems were there from the start of the game. Once again, we give easy access out wide, move the ball down the line, and then eventually into the striker. And again, it's easy access at our defence straight away. The ball eventually gets played into the box, they get a half chance. Concerning, that's happened twice now. When it happens once, you go, that's not ideal. Happens twice, you've got a problem. When it happens 3 times, we're still in the first 10 minutes of the game. When it happens 3 times, you've now got a theme emerging, you've got a pattern, you've got a tactical problem, and a real issue. Again, Rashford, high, not really affecting anything. He's not cutting a passing lane, he's not really blocking path into midfield, he's not compact with the rest of the team. Look at the gaps in the middle there. The ball gets moved wide, easily once again, easy access out wide. And then when you've got time on the ball, you can get your head up, you can make a decision, you can play a pass. And again, Porto are accessing our final third incredibly easily. They can just keep moving into these areas and then get time in this sort of position, which is going to come back to hurt us a little bit later on in the game. And again, here, similar position again. Time on the ball is far too easy. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't a Marcus Rashford hate session. I love Rashford. I think on the ball, he was phenomenal in the first half. But defensively, he had a problem, without a doubt. However, I would suggest this is still a systematic problem because of the fact that we had something similar on the other side of the pitch as well. And that is because Bruno Fernandes squeezes high. Ahmad is left covering a couple of players, which means he gets drawn high as well, which means, again, spaces can be opened up in and around this area, out wide. Again, I'll use the term easy access. It's easy to get into these positions against United. Incredibly easy. I highly recommend you go and watch the first 30 minutes of the game again to see how many times the opposition got out wide in the final third. So easy. Ahmad here. High, not really doing an awful lot. He's not really impacting play massively. And eventually, it's going to give the opponent the head start. The ball gets played wide. Ahmad has ground to make up. The opponent has the head start. Ahmad eventually gets there, but he is scrambling to get across. And because he's sort of scrambling to get across, a bit of space now gets left in this area. This is an awful area to be leaving space. Again, this is 11 minutes into the game, so we haven't reached the 12th minute yet, and we have seen multiple occasions of a player being in this space, either side of the pitch, and a lot of easy access into our final third. This is a problem, but it's still 1-0 United. We haven't actually been punished just yet. We've got another situation here. Look across the United midfield. We've spoken about this a lot this week. How the task for the midfield is almost impossible. How Bruno Fernandes probably needs a new role to tuck in a little bit deeper, to form that midfield 3 or a 5 across the pitch. But no, it's still a 2. It's still a 2. And it's so easy to manipulate. A little bit of movement, it draws Casemiro out of position. This is good play from Porto, by the way. Good little bit of movement, he comes towards the ball. He brings Casemiro out of his position. At the same time, they're going to bring a winger inside to pin Mazraoui nice and narrow, connected to the back 4. He squeezed him inside. This little combination, alongside Ahmad being high up the pitch, makes this pass incredibly easy. Once again, Porto move towards the final third. Easy access. You've now got a chance to play this sort of ball down the line. There's a few different things you could do. It's far too easy. Now, the reason I'm pointing all of this out is because it was a massive problem in the game, and I don't want the players being labelled as bottle jobs in this game. I think there are some games where we get into a good position and the players let it get to their heads and we then make mistakes and we get worse in the game. I think it happens sometimes. But I think we have to be careful with throwing that label out that players bottled it, etc. after having a lead. The mentality isn't there. The point of this video is proving this wasn't just a problem that occurred when we were 2-0 up. You know, it weren't like we got comfortable. We took our foot off the gas. That was not the case by any means. We've seen there examples at 0-0, 1-0 United and 2-0 United, where the problem is there. And then eventually, those exact problems that have already been happening for 30 minutes in this game finally actually leads to a goal. And we've got the ball here, right hand side, and the reverse is going to be played. How many times already have we seen a player in this sort of space? Marcus Rashford, you have to be more intense. I'm going to defend Ten Hag here. Get in there and do your job. Get in there and do your job. Show a bit of intensity. You're jogging, mate. Get in there and do your job and help your team out. Put a bit of pressure on the ball. It doesn't happen. The cross comes in, and Manchester United's box defence in this game was terrible. This was a concern I highlighted before the start of the season, before we signed De Ligt. We've got Sandro Martinez, who I've criticised quite a lot for his box defence, and I got slaughtered for doing it. I don't think he's great in the box. I just don't think he is. I think he's great on the ball and other areas, but actually defending his own box, I don't think he's very good. De Ligt, I think, on his day is phenomenal here. But he's one of those players who always has the ability to have an off game, if you know what I mean. He's always got a blip in him, a lapse of concentration and that sort of thing. But ultimately, at the same time, I feel sorry for these Manchester United defenders. Because when you are dealing with this many crosses into the box, you're going to have moments where you switch off like this. Sandro Martinez, he just doesn't react to the danger. And I'm going to criticise him for that again. It's not good enough. But at the same time, when you are facing this volume of crosses into the box, time and time and time again, it is a clear weakness the opposition have identified. If we can work the ball wide, we're going to get space. From there, can we put the ball into the box? So United have got a problem. They're not intense enough, high up the pitch, so there's not enough pressure on the ball. As a result, the opposition have time to pick a pass. The next problem for United is there's a lot of space out wide. So if there's a lot of space out wide, plus the opposition have time, that's a problem. We've then got the problem that our wingers are not intense enough in tracking back, and the defensive line isn't high enough to connect with the team. So we're leaving a gap. So it's very easy to get out wide in the final third of the pitch. The next problem we have is that we are not good enough at stopping the cross. Diogo Dalot is not great at stopping crosses into the box. Rashford clearly isn't. Mazraoui, it's not his strong point, stopping crosses. And then the next problem is in the middle there. The box defence in this game just wasn't good enough. It's so easy to get into the final third, to swing crosses in, and you're going to have problems. And that was the problem for Manchester United in this game. Again, today I don't even want to touch on the possession side of things because I'm not interested. Defensively, it's so bad when you are voluntarily kind of giving up that much territory on the pitch, time and time again, with fairly simple passages of play from Porto, although they do deserve credit. But when you're giving up ground that easily, you're never going to win a football match at this level. You're just not. Ten Hag deserves a lot of criticism. Again, I think the players do. But I am looking at Ten Hag a little bit more tonight, I think. I think he set the team up wrong. And I think this defensive structure has to change. It has to, because it's not good enough. That's my opinion. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments down below. But apart from that, we are finished for today. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.